Hello, Kayla, and welcome to the Make Life Free Movement podcast.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. So, hello, everyone listening. Kayla and I have worked together behind the scenes on this show for a number of episodes. Kayla is such an amazing publicist and an awesome person in general. And I'm really excited that we get to talk today. And we'll put out just a slight trigger warning in case anyone is in a space where they may be feeling a little sensitive around cancer, but we will be discussing that in this episode. So we're all going to take care of everyone today. This is just a really beautiful story that I'm so thankful that Kayla is willing to share with us. And Kayla, I'd love to just get started with your publicist career because you're such a fantastic publicist. It's been
Thank
so great to work with you, publicist to publicist, and as a
you.
show host, it's been awesome. And how did you get into PR?
So I've been working in PR for almost 10 years now, which is crazy to say. I have wanted to do this career, honestly, since I was a little girl. And my friend, I remember she told me that her dad was responsible for putting the gift bags together for the Oscars. And I was like, wait, why is that so cool? And why is that a career? And then I went to college and I always loved writing and I always loved storytelling. And so I was able to find that passion and apply it to PR. And so I've been in love with it ever since. And so I started working in New York City for a smaller firm, jumped around a bit, have been at my current firm for 6 years.
Yeah.
And we do everything from like lifestyle to wellness, and like we work with some amazing up and coming brands, and it just, I love doing it. So,
So
and we
fun.
work with, and on the other side too, working with amazing media like you, and it's a lot of fun.
PR is having a little bit of a revival right now. It's really exciting. I think it was
Yeah.
weird there for a minute because Instagram really like had us all perplexed for a minute there, but
Yeah.
I think it's been really exciting to see so many publicists having so many fun opportunities, and I'm happy we're here. We've all made it back to this place.
Yes, yes. It was tricky waters to navigate, and now we're back. Like, that's the fun thing about the media landscape today. I feel like people are really more introspective and they're asking more questions and they're like more thoughtful consumers, and that really is what plays a part in my job, is like telling those stories. So I think it's a lot of fun, especially with the whole TikTok sphere.
Yeah, we have nothing but creativity at our fingertips, and definitely a fast pace environment that I think we all kind of thrive on, which is where I'm just so fascinated to watch publicists live real lives. And it's so fun because with, social media, we get to see that. And you were recently married. Your wedding was beautiful.
Yes.
You looked amazing.
Thank
Looked
you.
like such a beautiful family celebration. After that, you
Yeah.
found yourself in a space of just thinking you had a routine situation on your hands. So if you wouldn't mind, I would just love to hear about the moment you found your lump and kind of what that was like for you. I think just with your age, I would very much love, as much as you're willing to share, to kind of help women just recognize so many things that they may overlook or, their doctor may dismiss. And to hear your firsthand account, I think will be really helpful for a lot of people just to be aware.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely shocking because my family had no known history of cancer of any kind. And so it actually was during a routine gynecology appointment that my doctor felt a lump under my armpit. And I've had like things there from just like shaving.
Mhm.
And so I thought it was maybe like an ingrown hair or something. But she was like, it feels like a cyst. I'm going to recommend you get imaging done and, just to cover your bases, but it's probably nothing and I wouldn't worry about it.
Mhm.
And so I went home, I showed my husband, I was like, there's this weird thing. It feels like a bouncy ball. It's like right under my armpit. Like, that's so weird. And so he was like, well, you just have to get the imaging done. Like, we can't, spiral. And so immediately, like the next day, I called the radiology center and I made an appointment. And they were like, oh, well, we can't see you until February. So my appointment was in December. So, and I was like, is that normal? And they were like, yeah, you're not a high risk of anything. Like, you have no family history. Like, your risk is low. So, like, it's not a rush. This is the soonest we can see you.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. So then the next month I went to my doctor's appointment, my regular, to get a physical. And thank God I'm on all my appointments
Yeah.
because like a lot of people don't have time. Like a lot of people really don't have access. So I'm very blessed that I have the ability to go to my regular checkups. Like that's so important. So the doctor, my physician felt it too. And she was like, yeah, like it feels like a cyst, like it doesn't feel like anything crazy. And I told her, I was like, I'm getting it imaged in February. Is that, is that going to be too long? She's like, no, I think that's fine. So I had two professionals tell me that I was fine. And then sure enough, so February 19th, I'll never forget, the day comes, it was President's Day. I walk, into the radiology department. I'm like totally not worried about a thing. I see a woman who's battling breast cancer come in because she has the bandana. And I'm like, oh, poor woman. Like, I would hate to be in those shoes. And then, sure enough, I go, I'm sitting, I'm getting the ultrasound, I'm chatting with the nurse, like, we're just, shooting the shit. And that, can I swear?
Yeah, yeah, you're good.
And she, like, all of a sudden I see her demeanor kind of change and she gets this grave look and she pauses and she's like, can you just give me 1 second? She goes to get the radiologist and this sweet radiologist, he comes running into the room. He's like, point to where your cyst is, like show me where it is. And I was like, it's right here. And he's like taking over and he starts looking at it. He's like, he starts like saying a bunch of stuff to the nurse and I like don't really understand the terms that he's using. And then all of a sudden he says, yeah, you're going to need to come in because we're concerned. And I
Mm.
said, so it's not a cyst. And he's like, I'm afraid it's not a cyst.
Mm.
And so I was like, these people are quacks. They have no idea what they're talking about. I was like, they think it's breast cancer. And I remember leaving, and the woman hands me a packet about biopsies, and she literally says, "Best of luck to you, sweetheart." And
Mm.
I'm like, what is she talking about? I still am not in that mindset still. And I tell my husband, I get in the car, I'm like, they think I have breast cancer. I'm 30 years old and I have at the time, 29, I have no family history. I'm like, how could it possibly ever be that?
Yeah.
And then we get of course, the my chart comes in and they do what's called a BI-RAD rating on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 6. Sorry, 1 to 6. And the higher the rating, the more likely that they think it's cancer.
Mm.
So I was a BI-RAD 5. So that is like, it's cancer. Without the biopsy, without saying that it's officially cancer, that is cancer. And I looked up the radiologist, best radiologist in Orlando, knows what he's doing. And I was like, maybe he was onto something. So that night when I got the my chart rating, I started obviously spiraling. I was like, oh my God, we're about to go down a path to go down. I have no idea how to do this. I mean, nobody does until you have to do it. I mean, everyone says you're so strong. Everybody is strong when they're put in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before I even had the biopsy, I came to the conclusion that I was likely functioning with breast cancer. And so, of course, we made the biopsy appointment that week. 4 days later, they were like, we'll see you as soon as humanly possible to get you in and get it done. And so I remember going into that appointment. I saw this very sweet nurse who I've since become friends with. I said to her, I don't really have breast cancer, do I? And she was like, honey, I'm so sorry to say that it's very likely yes. And so I broke down right in the waiting room. I was like, oh, like I can't, I'm like gonna cry like talking about it. Like it was so like, and actually, so my husband's parents, both of them, his mother and his father had breast cancer as well. So, yeah. So, my poor husband, I'm like, oh, he can't catch a break. Like,
Whoa.
so I had
Poor
to,
man.
he came into the room and I told him, and he's gonna kill me that I'm saying this, but he did cry too.
Of
And I
course. Of
never have seen him
course.
cry. And that was like, I'll never forget that. Like, I have goosebumps, like, just, thinking back to that moment when I was like, yeah, they really think it's breast cancer. And so I was like so out of my mind. I ended up accidentally putting on the hospital gown that was from the dirty pile. I'm like, so I was like crying in the room and I was like, wait, I think I put on the dirty gown by accident. Do you have a clean gown? And everyone's like laughing and crying at the same time. And like, it was just, I was in the best possible hands. I felt like the nurses were just so, because that's so important. I mean,
Mm,
the radiologist was very clinical, and they do have to be, but the nurses were so warm and just that emotional intelligence that I needed to help me navigate those first few moments. Like,
yeah.
when you're hearing the worst news you could ever hear, I mean, they were just fantastic. So I was very grateful that, we had a path forward, and they were like, the hardest part, and I will say that too, now having been through it, the hardest part with all of it is knowing the steps to recovery and how to get a plan in place. That to me was just like, it's like this appointment and this appointment, and we have to see if it's spread, and we have to, and you have to freeze your eggs. Like, going through all of that at the beginning was
Mhm.
really hard. And
Yeah.
then when you have, okay, this is your routine, this is what you're going to do, and then this is the timeline, you feel so much better. And but a lot of women don't have that timeline, which
Mhm.
is really scary. I mean, it could be like, I was grateful that it was caught at stage 2 and there was, a light at the end of the tunnel, because a lot of women deal with, they have appointments for the rest of their lives with stage 4. And I mean, breast cancer research has come a long, long way. Even with my cancer, Herceptin was the chemotherapy that they used. That was only invented like 20 years ago, which is like, it's unbelievable. So, I am hopeful that more research is going to come out, but because there are a lot of tools compared to other
Yeah.
cancers and other diseases. Breast cancer does have a lot of tools that we can use to kind of fight it. So I
Yeah.
was grateful for that too.
I think I would love to go back to the moment that you kind of had, like, I think the only way to really explain to people what a moment like that feels like. I experienced it with my father. It wasn't my moment, but I could see the devastation of like that acceptance of like,
Mm.
okay, this is happening. It felt like a God moment. Like there's no other thing between you and this thing. It's like
Yeah.
everything around you is like left the building.
Yeah.
I wonder in that moment, I think a lot of people are very terrified to even get to the step of diagnosis because of this moment and only what you're willing to share, of course, but in that spiral where you were kind of like accepting what was happening, what do you feel was I know the plan helped you to kind of get to the next step and have procedures is great. And you're definitely a woman that loves a list and a to-do list and like a task. But when did you find your emotional part of you being able to kind of get in line with the procedural part of you? Because I'm sure that took a little bit of meshing. Or was it just instant for you because you're like, nope, I've got a path. I'm just going.
I think it was honestly instant. I do. I think I really do. I mean, I spiraled, of course, at the beginning because I couldn't believe what I
Yeah.
was about to embark on. But I knew in my heart that I would be okay. Like I had to be okay. And so I mean, I knew too that I was lucky because I have the absolute best support system out there to make sure that I was going to be okay. I mean, my husband was like I say a pit bull. Like, he was on the phone, like calling everybody, making sure, even with the egg freezing, like I had my eggs frozen within like 2 weeks. And the nurse who worked at the oncology department was like, "How did you get it done so quickly?" And I'm like, "My husband." Like it was just like I was like basically like he was like guiding me a lot through that so that I could kind of sit there and be like, "Okay, like you're going to be okay." Like talk myself, off the
Mhm.
ledge essentially, and
Mhm.
I will not like I just like I owe him literally everything for helping me through this, like
Killing
truly.
me, and it was literally I'm gonna cry. The true, like, you were only married for a few months, literally in sickness
Less
and
than a
in
year.
health, like,
Yeah.
came
He's
immediately.
amazing.
That's so beautiful, and, like, you don't really understand, as you said, how strong you are until you're tested, and
Yeah.
love can truly heal so many things, solve so many problems, and
Yeah.
it's just so beautiful that right out the gate, you had so many people doing heavy lifting for
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
which is just absolutely a testament to what love can do for someone who is ill and just needs support. The kind of support you had all the way down to the really cute parties your friends were throwing you and just tell us what preparing for the egg freezing was like and then tell us about your parties because
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
that was actually when I noticed that you were sick at the party and I was like, "Wait, what?" Because you were working this whole
Yeah,
time and not
I did.
disclosing your illness, which is
Yes.
also
So
so incredible
I
for
kept
you,
it
you
close
know?
to the chest because I also didn't want to like worry people unnecessarily. And I also wanted to kind of show that you can be sick, but also it doesn't have to be like in the movies where you're like in bed like I'm not gonna lie, like it sucked. Like I'm not trying like
You were sick. You were
it
very the
sucked.
sickest you've ever been.
But yes, but I didn't have to stop my life. And that's also what I thought would happen. And I'm so glad that I didn't. And I think for a lot of women, if they hear this news, it doesn't have to be you stopping your life. You can work as much or as little as you feel like it. And I felt like I wanted to work. I wanted to have that distraction. It really was. And I am so privileged that I work from home because on the days when I needed to go to the bathroom. Like
Yeah,
I could run to the bathroom and it's my
yeah.
bathroom. And like if I wasn't sitting in, rush hour traffic, I was able to. So that
In
in and of
comfy
itself was a
pants.
huge, huge, huge privilege and a huge weight off my shoulder and was a way for me to kind of feel like myself. And I was very happy to work and it kept my mind sharp and just everything. So the original question though was the egg freezing.
Yeah, sorry, I spiraled
So
myself.
the egg freezing process was 2 weeks of shots every single day in your abdomen, ultrasounds every other day.
Mm.
Basically, what they do is they blow you up like a balloon. And then
Oh,
after 10 to 14 days, you do go under anesthesia. They take your eggs and you wake up and it's done. And that's it. And they're frozen and it's 2 weeks and you never have to worry about it. And if any woman is thinking of doing it, it's not an easy 2 weeks, but then it's done. That's it. And the shots aren't anything. At first, it is a little weird. You're like, oh, I don't know. I mean, but it's kind of like Ozempic, where everybody's like squeezing their stomach, putting the thing in, and you get used to it really quick. Thankfully, though, they were able to get a lot of eggs from me. I always wondered if I would have, because I was actually getting ready before all this to maybe have a baby. So I wondered, am I gonna have a fertility? Like I never had, tried, so I didn't know. And the surgeon was like, "Yeah, you're like really fertile. We got like 31 eggs." I was like, "Oh, that's usually they
okay.
get 10." But to be fair, I mean, a lot of women who get IVF are, 10, maybe 10 years older
Older.
than me and like not doing it for the reason of, oh, I'm about to have chemotherapy. So like, I'm sure, this is not a crazy unheard of amount, but they were like, "Oh, you only have to do this one time." I was like, well, I don't have time to do it more than one time because some people do multiple rounds depending on
Mm,
how many eggs they get.
mhm.
So thankfully, I didn't have time on my side, so they were they were able to get a
Efficient.
really good amount. But the other thing too, which is interesting, which I also didn't know, is there's something called Lupron, which I've been getting. It's every 3 months I get a shot that essentially puts you in premenopause and shuts your ovaries down. So the chemo doesn't recognize that the ovaries are, fast dividing cells, because that's really what chemo kills, is anything that's like a fast dividing cell. Your hair follicles, your gut biome, things like that. It's not killing like skin cells. So I didn't know anything about chemo until all of this. Like, I learned so much. So the fact that they were able to invent this thing that shuts my ovaries down and protects them, so maybe when this is all said and done, I will be able to have kids naturally, is fantastic. I mean, it's such a huge blessing. So, but the eggs are insurance. The eggs are there in case, just in case. I will say being in menopause isn't fun. There's good and there's bad. I have not had my period since March, and my friend the other day, she asked me, she's like, do you miss having your period? I'm like, did you just hear what you just asked me? No, I don't miss having my period.
Like, "Ooh, I miss how I feel every day of the month before." So what are the
Yeah,
changes
no.
you're experiencing now? And how long will you be like that? I had no idea.
So yeah, so they're because I still need immunotherapy, they are giving me the Lupron through the end of next year. I get hot flashes. I have like no sex drive, which, but like, it is what it is. And the hot flashes are not fun. I am also like really tired, and I mean, part of it is like, I think the cancer, but also like this, they're like, oh, like, you'll probably be really tired, but I'll do it. Like, if it means that I can have a baby naturally, I'll do whatever you give me. Like, I'll take it. Like, it's fine, it's so but yeah. And then you asked me another question. Oh, the parties.
Jeez.
Shifting gears, I did throw a boob voyage. So before my double mastectomy, I had a boob themed party to celebrate, and I had a couple friends fly down from New York, and I had my family here, my sister-in-laws, and my friends, and it was just like so fun, and just like a way to kind of celebrate the end of chemo, but also like obviously say goodbye to my boobs.
So was it a precaution to have a double mastectomy, or had the cancer moved from your armpit area over to your breasts?
It was both. It was a precaution because of my age and because it was a hormone driven cancer. So that's the other
Mhm.
thing too, which I learned, is there's three types of hormones that can drive, I should say three types of things that can drive cancer. HER2, which they didn't really know about until a few years ago,
Mhm.
estrogen and progesterone. So I was estrogen positive and HER2 positive.
Mm.
So the estrogen was the thing that was driving the cancer, and then the HER2 was the thing that kept it going fast.
Mm.
Basically, like, the HER2 like turned the light switch of estrogen on and like kept it on. That's what the
Mhm.
oncologist told me. I still don't totally understand all of it.
Yeah.
But so because of that, they recommended that I get my breasts amputated. And it's so funny. I kind of wanted to get a boob job, candidly. I always said like I would get a mommy makeover because I never really loved my boobs. They were never my best feature. And I was like, I always said like maybe, I mean, do I really want to spend $10,000? Probably not. But I was like, I would be open to it. And now here we are. I got what I wished for. I had to suffer and trudge through hell. But, so I wasn't so, because that is another traumatizing thing in itself, it is a amputation of your body, really.
Mhm.
It's not all glamorous and fun plastic surgery. Like, it's horrible. They're
No.
literally cutting
Well,
your boobs off.
it was a significant surgery.
Yeah, yeah. It's so,
Major.
thankfully for me, because I wasn't going up too big, I didn't need expanders, because that is another hell in its own that a lot of women have to experience.
Mhm.
So I was able to do it all in one surgery, which is not the case for a lot of people. So the general surgeon came in, cut away. So there's a dead tumor bed where the cancer was that she has to kind of scrape away. Little bit of cancer had escaped that like tumor sac
Area.
and was starting to kind of go up towards my nipples. So they weren't sure. They told me early on that they were probably not going to be able to save my nipples. But thankfully, my surgeon was like, she gave me the choice. She was like, I'll scrape as much as I can out and we'll retest you. And you may have to come in for a second surgery and take the nipples. Up to you. And I was like, like let's keep them, and then if I have to go in for the second surgery, which won't be nearly as invasive, I'll do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, blessedly, she did get it all. Come to the conclusion that like I was okay with losing them. I was like, I'll never wear a bra again. It's fine. But I am also glad that I did keep them, because when I look in the mirror, I see me and it makes me feel like the scars are hidden. So I
Mm.
look and I see, I don't see cancer when I look at myself, which is really mentally important, So
Yeah.
um, I was very grateful that, she got what she needed to. And, thankfully it was, a quick one and done.
It's insane. It's so wild to look at you so young and vibrant and to hear this. I think it's jarring for sure. And for your age to be as young as you were, I wonder, did they give you any inclination as to why they think it was it like a cortisol thing, like your stress and it's got your estrogen spiked?
I'll never know the answer, truthfully, and they told me that. I think it was stress. I mean, I've had generalized anxiety disorder pretty much my whole life. Oh my God, I hear my. He's in here. He
The
found
cat?
it. He found the tree. He's like
Yes.
sticking his.
Is
If he
like
gets too
jingled?
bothersome, I'll kick him
No,
out.
no, you're fine. I love it. I literally
You'll
asked
just
for
like
this.
see the tree like fall over in the back. He's like he's getting up there. As long as you don't hear him, we're fine.
No, no, we're good.
So I've had, anxiety my whole life, but I was always stigmatized against my own stigma about against going on medication, because I always thought like people have it much worse. Like I don't know that I need to be on medication. Probably should have just been on it. And so now I am after a year, and I feel amazing, and I wish I did it sooner. So that's
Yeah.
another lesson for everyone. Just go on it. If you don't like it, go off.
Yeah, try.
If you have the means and you have, the ability to try it. Like it was. So I had anxiety, so I would get fight or flight all the time, over nothing. It was really debilitating, and I brushed it under the rug, and I thought it was kind of a normal way of functioning.
Mhm.
No, I had a mental health issue and I needed to address it. And so since being on anxiety medication, I feel a lot less of that cortisol kind of running through my body, because I felt it almost every day.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was stress. The other thing too is I had long COVID. So maybe it was inflammation from having COVID. I don't know. But I eat healthy, I exercise. So here's the other thing. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that I had no known history of breast cancer. So this summer, my grandmother was actually diagnosed with breast cancer. So it turns out that it was, hold on, I have to kick him out. Give me 1 second. He's
Is he
like,
getting feisty? Damaging the tree?
get, he's like knocking the ornaments off.
You're good, you're good.
Okay. Apologies. I'm back. I threw him
I
outside.
I live for cats effing stuff up on camera, it's my favorite. When it
I know. I
happens,
wish
I'm
I
like,
could get a better shot of it, unfortunately. Okay, so let me start.
"Yeah."
So this summer, my grandmother was diagnosed with breast cancer, which is so trippy to me that my 88-year-old grandmother and her 30-year-old grandchild had it. My poor mother, first of all, like, can we talk about my poor mother? So that opened my eyes, because then I realized, because a lot of it too, I was operating like under the assumption that it was my fault that I did something. But you should never, ever, ever operate under that, because cancer does not discriminate. it can affect anyone for any reason. Some people are just more sensitive. And so I had come to that conclusion that, I thought it was my fault. And then I was like, but like, would I have lived any differently? No. Like, I would have eaten the cancer causing gummy bears. Like, I would have, like, so I accepted that. And then when that happened, I was like, okay, I guess it was in my family. I guess it was genetic. I mean, still crazy to be 30 years old and get it. Like, what,
Yeah, 100%.
could possibly trigger that to happen. But it was, and so then, unfortunately, my grandmother, I think she knew before and she just didn't want to tell
Do
anyone
anything.
because she said that she had a lump in her breast and she just like ignored it. And, and this was after I was diagnosed when she noticed that. And I just don't think she wanted to make it about her. And I just think she didn't want anyone to worry about her. And I think she was like, we have to deal with Kayla. Like, why should I really believe that. I really believe she just didn't want us to worry or fuss over her. And she was, suffering towards the end. I mean, it had spread. She was having a lot of pain. And then unfortunately, she passed away this September.
So sorry.
I was extremely close with her. She was like one of my best friends. I called her every week. She was just such a light and so funny and so just blunt and just like she had this, Brooklyn accent. And
Oh,
I'll miss her. I think about her every day since she passed.
what was her
She
name?
Rosalie. Yeah, she would love it. She would love that. She didn't ultimately pass away from the breast cancer. It was pneumonia
Ugh,
from I think being in the hospital and just being,
yes.
she was getting radiation treatments just to help with comfort level and just to shrink the tumor so it wasn't so painful. Because at that point it was in her spine. It was pretty bad at the end. And so, she did die knowing that I was cancer free. I was cancer free. God, this year can just suck it, like truly. I told her over FaceTime that I was cancer free, and
Oh,
I showed her my boobs, and she's like, I hope nobody grabs you.
I love it. I love.
She was so then she passed away 4 days later. I
Oh,
think she was
oh
I
my
think
God.
she was staying alive until she knew that I was okay. And
Please.
yeah, it's really sad. It's awful.
Grandmoms are the best. I think,
Yeah.
gosh, it's just such a beautiful and jarring and scary story. And I wonder, now that you are diagnosed cancer free, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's such a blessing. What does your life feel and look like now? What has changed since all of this has gone down?
It almost feels a little anticlimactic
Okay.
because you have all of this rigmarole, like constant appointments, and then you have this big bear that you have to like defeat, and then you defeat it and you're left kind of with the ruins, and you're like, okay, I guess I still have to, I'm still doing my routine. My life feels honestly the same, which I don't know if is good or bad. I mean, I thought I would feel, and maybe I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. The trauma is probably latent and going to hit me like one day in January, and I'll be walking down the street and I'll be like, "Oh my god." And I'm still getting treatment. Like, I have to get another infusion today, like of the immunotherapy, which thankfully doesn't have any, side effects.
Awesome.
I mean, some side effects, but not anything. Not the hard part is totally over. The chemo is the worst part. So, it feels a little anticlimactic. I'm not gonna lie, it does. But I am going to Italy in December, so that'll be nice.
Is that your delayed honeymoon? Because you had to
It,
postpone your
well,
honeymoon.
my honeymoon was originally in Bali in April, so we obviously had to postpone that. We're still going because we spent a lot of time on the itinerary. We got credits. We got most of our money back, but some resorts were like, yeah, come back next year.
Hmm.
And so we still have to go to Bali, which I'm going to Bali. Like nothing's going to stop me from going to Bali. But Italy is kind of just a nice winter trip to celebrate this being over. And then the honeymoon will be in Bali. I guess traveling, I guess that's the way that I'm kind of making the most and celebrating this journey being over. I mean, like the other thing too is I think it'll hit me in a year when I still can't have kids and things will kind of settle a bit more and I'll be like, okay, like this thing just happened and now I'm still suffering the consequences. I have to wait to have babies for at least a few years for kind of the chemo to be out of my system. And then I'm also going to be taking a pill called tamoxifen, which is to help with the estrogen to keep my body from having a recurrence. Because a lot of people don't know that even with a double mastectomy, there is still a risk of remission. That's kind of something that not a lot of people realize. It definitely decreases recurrence by a significant margin, but there's still a risk. So, and with my age, my oncologist is treating me in the most possible aggressive way that you can possibly treat someone with breast cancer, which I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
But it also means having to take this pill every day. In 2 years, I have the chance to go off of it and try and conceive. And then have a baby and then go back on it. So, and actually, they discovered that 3 years ago that you could do that. Only 3 years ago. Because people, a lot of times with tamoxifen, you're on it for 5 to 10 years. A lot of women. And so they did something called the positive trials, which, if anyone listening wants to look it up, they discovered that if you do it for 2 years and then go off of it for a short time, and then go back on and continue the course, it does not affect the recurrence rate. So that was something they just discovered in 2022.
I can't even, it's, I hope that your story helps people to feel a little less frightened about cancer
Yeah,
because
I
I
hope
think
so too.
a lot of us grew up with people in our lives that got cancer and died very brutally and very quickly because just there wasn't anything there. It was my dad had cancer over 20 years and he was always the test dummy because they'd never dealt with and it was just constantly just being very afraid because there weren't these assurances, there weren't these trials, there weren't these drugs that were approved and around long enough to even mess around with to find out these little intricacies that you're now benefiting from. And
Yeah.
I think it's such a true testament to, the plans available for when things hit the fan are really sound. And although it's going to be really difficult and really scary, you can get through it. And modern medicine is only getting better and better. And I
Yeah.
think we have to really just rest on knowing our bodies and being able to tell when something isn't right and just be aggressive at the doctors as Kayla's husband was and make sure you get seen and you get answers. And if something is wrong with you, God forbid, there's a whole world of technology and advancements that have been made that are just going to take care of you. And
Yes.
I was
Yes.
just so thankful for you to share your story because as you said before we started, if you could share that, what, kind of like you felt like you got on and off a train. It doesn't need to be something that we like wipe off as like, oh, I'll be fine. But like you do really need to have a good mental fortitude and a mindset that puts you in a place of healing and conquering. So could you tell us a little bit about what that mindset was like for you and how could someone maybe facing a recent diagnosis try to wrap their head around getting on that train and the to-do list and feeling strong?
Writing helps. Writing everything out helps. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, finding other women going through it, that was big for me. Finding other, even like Olivia Munn's story, Bridget Ball, the founder of the bar, she posted her journey, being introduced to friends of friends, being connected with other people going through what you're about to go through or have been through, I mean, is paramount. I mean, I can't even understate how important it is to find community. And I found a community in Facebook groups. This woman, this sweet woman, we started TCHP chemotherapy, which was the 6 rounds that I had to go through the same day. the exact same day. She lives in Ohio. We met on a Facebook group, and every week we would text each other. You ready for round three?
Oh,
Or like, how are you doing after, round five? Like what, and like I like texted her, I remember because I went to a wedding. I got on a plane and I was like, I'm on a plane and I'm suffering. I'm going to my best friend's wedding. And she was like, you're crazy. Like, so just like having these like, these women to lean on, and like it's, I mean, they always say like, the cancer club is the worst club but the best members, and that is just so true. I mean, the community that I've met through this is like, it's, yeah, I just like, I can't overstate how important it has been to help me mentally.
ugh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
To not have other people to ask or even just have someone understand how you feel because your husband and your family, they can try their best. But
Yeah.
it's just a different set of shoes, you know? It
Yeah.
just there's so much to be said about the human connection for just human experience, and especially that of ill health and not really knowing what's in front of you and not having to navigate that alone is so beautiful. Such a special thing that you're able to find. I'm so glad you had that because
Yeah.
I would want that too. I'd be like, girl, what's going on today? Like, I would probably need boundaries, but I feel like I would love to hear what your dreams are for the future because you're so blessed to have one.
Oh,
And I
thank you.
think it's important to just put them out there.
It's so funny because a lot of times when something like this happens, you think like, now I have to live every day to the fullest. But that was always how I operated. I lived in New York City, I moved to LA with my husband for fun. Like I, studied abroad. Even every weekend I'm like, we have to try this new restaurant. We have to do this. Every day I always tried to infuse joy in my life, and I think a lot of it too had to do with COVID, to be honest, and just being quarantined. And like that, I think prepared me a lot for the way I wanted to live my life. And so I've been living that way. Now I feel almost vindicated in a way for living the way that I have been wanting to live because things like this could happen. And so, as far as the future goes, I'm going to keep living this way, keep living to the fullest. I would like to have babies when that time comes and when I'm able to. I want to travel more. I just bought a beautiful house during all of this. My husband and I were like, okay, we had a horrible year. Let's at least do one thing that we've been wanting to do, which is, settle down, buy a house.
Yay.
And so I'm very, very happily in my dream home. That if little Kayla knew that she would have 5 bathrooms in her house, like, not to throw that in, but
You're like, yeah.
I'm just like so, just grateful and blessed. And I'm just so excited for the future and so excited that that God gave me the ability to live this beautiful life that I created and tell my story. And I'll know that there's a reason for this happening. I don't know what the reason is now, but someday in like 5 years, I'll be like, oh, okay, I had to learn this, so that's why I went through this.
Oh,
And I'm just so happy to be cancer free and excited for the future.
my gosh. Amen. Thank you, God, for you being cancer free. And
Yeah,
I'm just, uh, as like your long distance friend, I'm just so thankful that everything turned out the way it did. You were such a graceful fighter.
thank you.
I have like serious medical anxiety because of my dad, and every
Yeah,
period cycle, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like freaking out. And discovering that you had that illness and just watching you absolutely crush it was so
thank you.
beautiful.
But if you don't crush it, who like, it's just everyone
Anyway,
is so,
how,
and
yes,
it's so, yeah, like it's so, I don't, because like one of my friends told me, she's like, you made it look so easy, and I'm like, but it really wasn't. I
yes,
just like,
just trudged along,
it's, yeah.
kept going, and I
Yeah, I
think it.
think it helped my mom. I will say, I think having the attitude that I've had and being able to carry myself in the way that I have,
Mm,
I think it helped my mom because she didn't, she knew that I was like, I was in a way comforting her. And I think that helped a lot. And one of her friends actually told me, she was like, thank you for being you, because I think it really helped your mom a lot. So that meant a lot to me when she said that.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting place for you to be put in because you are simultaneously going through this terrible thing, but then you're all it is, I would imagine, and I did talk with my dad about this a lot. I would imagine it's very difficult for you to watch those that you love so much be so just heartbroken and scared for you.
Yeah.
It's a difficult thing to navigate, and you do need to be strong for yourself, but there is also the beautiful gift that you gave them of being able to be strong for them, which is very difficult to do. And that just shows even more how strong you are.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Kayla, you are such a light. I'm so thankful you're okay. Thank you for sharing this story. If anyone listening has any questions, can they feel free to reach out to you?
Yes, please, 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 please reach out to me, please. Like it would give me, so much joy if I could just help even one person.
Yes. Yeah. And ladies, it doesn't hurt to start doing your breast exams a little more thoroughly and seriously earlier on in life. It is a strange world out there, so we just
Yeah.
have to be prepared, and getting ahead
Yes.
of things as Kayla did is the best course to take. God bless
Yes.
us all, and let's hope we're all
Yeah.
cancer free. I pray you remain cancer free. I cannot just wait to see your trip to Italy, which is a ways away, but
Thank
actually, I
you.
can't wait to see your dream house decorated for your first Christmas. So, everyone stay tuned
Thank
for
you.
that. If you notice in the back corner, everyone, Kayla put her Christmas tree up yesterday because she had cancer this year and she can do what she wants.
And that's right. Yes, I can do whatever I want. I can put my tree up before Halloween. So
Yes. So before Halloween, but that's why it's so delicious that you did it. I literally saw that and I was like, yes. I was like, I've got a ways to go, but yes. Oh my goodness. Kayla, thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful day.
thank
And
you, Sarah.
it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
story.
you. Thank you.